Hi and welcome to My Art Pixie. My name is Maria and today I want to show you how to make an accordion fold watercolor journal, and you could add some junk to it too. So these are the two that we are going to make today. I'll show you from start to finish. In addition to this video, I will also show you the pages inside and how to make those in an upcoming video. Before we get started though, I would like to show you a couple of accordion watercolor journals that I have done in the past so that you can see a couple of them that are completed. So this first one is 24 years old. I covered it with tissue paper, and as you can see, it is an accordion. So if I stretch it across my desk here, you can see that it has several folds. They're all connected, and so it makes one big accordion fold. Let me show you the inside of this watercolor journal. This journal is about the birth of my daughter. There is some private information in it, so I'm just going to cover it up with a doily, but otherwise everything you can see, I journaled inside of it. The orange squares at the bottom are my contractions, and this blue spread is when my water broke and the contractions were the strongest. They gave me some medicine that caused me to hallucinate a little bit, and then I was actually able to sleep. And then here at the end is when she arrived. So a little bit of mixed media in there as well. The back, I didn't put anything on the back. Everything is in the main pages, but just knowing that this is something that I've been doing for a long time and have enjoyed so much. And I keep it in a baggie just to keep it safe. I probably need a bigger baggie, but it's been 24 years and it's been just fine. This other one, I approached it as a fine art piece. The outside is covered in fabric, both sides, and I stitched it all by hand. I made a little ephemera flower and stuck it into the pocket of the tool that I have here. And then to open it up, you just unwrap the ribbon, and inside it has all the watercolor, as you can see. But it is an accordion, as you can see. But what I did with this is I added a couple of buttons and I added some bands so that it would open like a regular book and have a little surprise. So if I take the bands off, then it also opens up in the back, and I have written some scriptures in the back. So you can see that it is also an accordion fold. I'll widen the shot a little bit more so that you can see. Hopefully you can see it all. I did all the watercolor along the inside. In the middle. This back piece is actually a piece from my wedding dress. The idea was to show the journey of life that we go through, the hills and valleys, the ups and downs, and that was really the idea of it. It's so cool because you can look at them page by page and it still makes sense. And my hope is that it tells a story. And then on the other side, I wrote several scriptures, and I just wrote from one end to the other. So you can see the the back cover, and then all of the scriptures that I wrote, and then the front cover. And you can look at them individually as well. It is a little harder because I did write all the way across the paper. And so then to close it up, I would just take these bands, put them back around the buttons, and that would create it like just a regular book. And then tie it back together so that it's all closed up. So I just wanted to show you those. Lots of fun. I had so much fun making these. And of course, I've made other books along the way, but I just wanted to pull these two out so that you could see kind of, I guess, how far I've come in creating the watercolor journals. So these are the two that we are going to make today. I'm going to show you step by step how you too can create these. Let's go ahead and get started. So I went to my local art store and I picked up some pretty large watercolor paper. And I got two different kinds. I have hot press and cold press, and it is Archer's brand. You can pick these up at, I have seen them at Hobby Lobby and Michael's. There are probably other places too. Definitely you can order them online. But for my convenience, I went to my local art store here in town. Luckily, we have an art store. We have a university here locally. And so I think that's really what keeps that going, keeps that thriving, because they still have fine art. And so there's everything from watercolor to oil paints and paper like these. So this is professional grade watercolor paper. However, the idea is to cut this down into an accordion fold. And in order to do that, you need a pretty big piece of paper. Definitely you could use smaller sheets and attach them together. Like that's doable too. But my whole idea was to just take the one piece lengthwise and turn this into an accordion fold watercolor journal or watercolor junk journal. It will work for both. So I did get 140 pound. You can get 90 pound. I think that's probably the lowest that it goes. And you can get the 300, which the 300 is really, I just realized I have like a lot of glare, so I apologize about that. But anyway, there, I just took my glasses off. Anyway, so I got 140 pound. There is 300 pound and there's also 90 pound. 90 pound is going to be thinner and the 300 is going to be thicker. And boy, do I mean thick. It is something else. So you could probably make a great book out of it as well, but I went with the 140 pound. It will hold up to what I want to do, and that will be fine. So the other thing that I love about this paper is, I'm going to see if I can show you. So the paper comes cut with this deckled edge. Can you see that right there? I think. Yeah, there we go. So you can see that deckled edge. And they both come that way. So one is the cold press and one is the hot press, and they both come with that deckled edge. So that's what really makes this like professional grade, is to have that deckled edge. So I want to keep that throughout. So I got a handy tool to help me with just that, and I'm going to show you. I picked up a set of rulers off of Amazon that could give me that deckled edge that I was looking for. The other side has a more rigid tear, but this side really gives me that same look or the similar look to what the paper trim does. This was a set of 3, so it has several different edges that you can use to tear your paper and get different end results. But I really liked this one here. I thought that it gave me the best deckled edge that matched the watercolor paper. And as a result, I now have 4 pieces that all have the deckled edge on top and bottom, which look really cool in an accordion fold. So let me show you how I did that. The paper is 22 by 30, and I can get 4 accordion fold watercolor books out of this one piece of paper. So what I did is I measured 5.5 inches on the short end 4 times. This is 22 divided by 4, gives you 5.5. So at the end, I will have 4 long pieces of watercolor that I can make into an accordion fold. I lined the ruler up that had the deckled edge along those marks that I made. And then I just began to tear the paper long ways across the watercolor paper. And then I just repeated that 2 more times. Once that part is finished, then I do need my scoreboard so that I can begin to score the paper. I wanted 6 pieces of watercolor, so I just took the 30 and I divided it by 5. But what I love about the scoreboard is that it also has a ruler on it, so you don't have to measure it out. You can just use your scoreboard, make your score, and then you're going to flip the paper over and make the next score on the scoreboard. So I'm going to make a score mark every 5 inches. And once I do that, I'm going to flip it over and then go another 5, score it, flip it over, go another 5, score, flip it over, etc. until I've gone all the way down the length of the paper. And then once I'm done, I'm going to bend it at each crease and press it down with the bone knife, fold it, and press it with the bone knife again. So you're just kind of going back and forth, just like an accordion, until you have all of your folds. And then there you have it. And you should have 6 pages all together. Now with the next one, I'm going to make this a little different. I'm going to actually make the pages 4 inches instead of 5 inches. So you're going to do the very same thing. I'm going to line up my paper, but I'm going to score it at the 4-inch mark. And then flip it over. Line that up. Go 4 more inches and then make that mark. And then I'm going to flip it again and just continue down the length of the paper, making the score every 4 inches. Just make sure that you flip your paper between each score. Now the difference with this one is that you will have a shorter end for the last one, but don't worry, I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. And just like with the one before, you're going to fold it over where you had made the mark. Press it down and then flip it and fold it where you have made the mark. Press it down and run that bone knife across them, and then just keep going. It's pretty simple to do, but that's why I love these larger pieces of watercolor paper, because then you just have this continuous piece of paper that you can use for your accordion fold. It works out perfectly. The way this is, it gave us a couple more pages, but then I'm going to use this end and I'm going to flip it over to actually make it close so it looks like an envelope. So now we have our 2 watercolor journals ready to go. The one is 5 by 5.5 and the other is 5.5 by 4. So you know the boxes that you use at Christmas time to wrap a shirt or a scarf or something like that? You can buy the packs of boxes. That's what this cardboard is. And I'm just cutting it into pieces so that it will fit for my first journal that I cut, the one that was 5.5 by 5. I cut them a little longer so that the watercolor paper would fit. I want the deckled edge to fit right inside of that cardboard. I ended up cutting it 5 3/4 by 5. And then, of course, I just repeated that and made a second one. So now I have my front and back cover. I'm going to cover both covers with fabric. So I'm just taking some scrap fabric that I have and cutting it down to fit the front and the back cover. So for the first one, I used Fabri-Tac, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't love how it turned out because it showed the marks through the fabric. So for the second one, I used tacky glue. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. I cut the corners so that I would have nice clean corners when I made the folds. And I am using pinking shears, if you were wondering, to cut the fabric. But as you can see, when I flipped it over, you can really see that fabric tack come through the fabric, and I don't love that. I haven't had that happen a lot. So just something to keep in mind. But but I am going to use that to pull these each of the edges over, so it covers that cardboard and gives you a nice clean edge on all four edges of the cardboard. And then, like I said, I used the tacky glue on the other one. And it didn't leave any marks on my fabric. So just something to keep in mind when you're using different glues. I could go back and I could redo it, but it's fine. I'm just going to put the one that isn't the greatest on the back and put the one that I like on the front. I'm using a brayer to just help, spread that glue out. My pinking shears to create those corners. And then fold over the fabric to make those clean edges. The next step is to glue down our watercolor paper. So we're going to take the last 2 pages, the one at the front and the one at the back. I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac to glue those down. Make sure it's lined up before you press down, because you only have one shot at this. Just FYI. And then roll it with my brayer. And then same thing for the front cover. Nice. I really like how it turned out, and I really love this fun blue flower fabric. On the front, on the front and back, I'm going to make 2 coffee mugs to decorate and put some ephemera on the top of each cover. So I'm just going to play some music, and you can watch me draw and paint these fun mugs and see me attach them to the front and back covers of our watercolor junk journal. For the second one that has like the envelope fold, I'm going to use a button to then create a closure with some string. I'm purposely using white string because I am going to paint this. And I think the white string will look so nice up against the watercolor paint once I have it painted. So in order to put the button on, I'm going to use a hole punch. This is a 1/8 hole punch, so it's super tiny. It makes those cute little tiny holes through the paper. And I'm just going to punch 2 in here. I didn't worry about measuring perfectly into the center. I just kind of eyed it. I just kind of eyeballed it, but if you want to measure it, of course, you can do that. The 2 holes are going to serve as guides as we sew the button on. And there you have it. We have 2 new watercolor junk journals, or they can be just watercolor journals. You don't have to junk them up. That is completely up to you. In the next video, I'm going to paint inside of them, and you're going to see all the fun things that I'm going to add to junk it up.